Hi everyone, it's me again. My name is Kezia. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a volunteer for N.E.S.T since I think 2017-18. And throughout the Refugee Week, I'm inviting a couple of my friends to help me teach. And today I have with me Suzanne, which is a close friend of mine. Who at some point lived in the UK as well. So I'm just gonna let Suzanne introduce herself and pitch the session today.
Yep. Hi everyone, I'm Suzanne. Suzanne Sarah. I'm a friend of Keja. She actually mentioned that. And even though we came from like the same hometown that we met in the UK in London, because I studied in London, Kezia was in Newcastle, but before she went to Newcastle, she visited London first. So, but now we are friends for I don't know how many years, right, Kezia? Like years or more, which I'm grateful for. And I'm so happy that Casey actually invited me to teach in this session. And just to give you a bit of background of mine, I studied fashion design in 2012. But then what I'm doing at the moment is very different from what I actually studied. Um, it was very I still love fashion design. I still love fashion, and I actually still work for a fashion company. But now I'm more into the business side rather than the design side, which apparently I love so much. I have been enjoying working in the business side rather than the design side, while I still actually can enjoy the design part while I'm taking care of the other side of the business. So, yeah, and today I'll bringing this topic called creative thinking and journaling. It's something that I personally experienced, to be honest, and um, I learned creative thinking way back before this. When I studied fashion, because whenever we want to produce an artwork, we will be challenged to think different way, to think creatively, and actually to document everything. So if you ever heard for a creative student that they have to make a portfolio, like a sketchbook, that's how we journal, that's how we document things. So this is something I have brought with me for so long since I actually studied fashion. But now I'm adapting it for a bigger purpose. Like I actually use it in my daily life, in how I solve problems every day, and in actually achieving my dreams. So yeah, I'm actually very excited to share it with you because when Casey actually asked me to do this for you guys, I've been thinking about what I can, some kind of a thing that I can teach you that you can bring and stay relevant with you for the future as well. So not for only now, but for the future as well. So I think because this one has been very helpful for me, has been very useful for me. I hope that it can be useful for you and for Kezia too. So yes, I'll start. Is that okay? I can start now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, uh, creative thinking and journaling itself has like a like very wide perspective about it, very a lot of meaning about it. A different person think about it very differently. But in this session, this is actually an adaptation of like a book from Jürgen Sellenbecher's Creative Personal Branding. And I also mix it up with my own experience. So yes, hopefully it's practical, easy to follow through, and yeah. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, first thing first, what is problem? And for everyone, we all have problems, right? That what kind of problem is different for everyone, how big it is, how small it is. And problem is actually a situation that is unsatisfactory and causes difficulty to people that definitely needs to be dealt with. Because problem is something that everyone faces, but not everyone actually deal with it. Some people can just live with the problem. Some people can solve it and have it done or finished and no longer live with the same problem. So yeah, that is problem. And from now on, I want you guys to think about what problems you guys are facing or having at the moment as well. And what is imagination? Because when I pick this topic, it's creative thinking and journaling to solve problems and to turn your imagination into reality. When I know that the theme of this week is actually imagine, I find it a very powerful word. And because we live with so many limitations, but when you imagine or you use imagination, it gives you like an endless platform to imagine, to dream, to think that you can live in a different way, to think that you have a better future or a bright future. So imagination or reimagining is actually a very powerful word. And everyone can imagine as well. So what is imagination? And I would like to hear as well from you one day maybe, what is imagination for you and what is your imagination? But imagination is always about something that you cannot find or have in your present. Because if you have it in your present now, you don't have to imagine about it anymore, right? So definitely it's something that you long for that is not in the present anymore. And most of the times when we want to start doing something about it, we just don't know where to start. And it happens to me all the time. Like I can imagine, oh, I really want to have this book that I really want, but then I don't know where to find it. That's like the more simpler example. But then I also have a dream to have this business, but I don't know where to start it, to whom that I should ask to be my partner with, and yeah, so many other questions. So, but I believe that everyone can relate to this as well, because everyone has problem and everyone has imagination. And next, if we learn about problem and imagination, which both we can be really relate to it, and what is creative thinking? So creative thinking means a way of looking at problems or situations from a fresh perspective that suggests solutions. But creative thinking but to be creative, an idea has to be appropriate, useful, and actionable. So if it's only a different idea, but not actionable, it's not creative. So in order to be creative, that idea that you have is supposed to be appropriate, useful, and actionable. So by having a creative thinking, you should find your solution actionable. You can do something about it. And creative thinking is not just another thinking. It's a different thinking. It's a new and fresh thinking. Like everyone can see a chair as a chair, but some other people can see a chair as a table. So that's something like that. So you can see something differently in a new way and perspective, a new fresh perspective. So yeah, and move on to journaling. I think this one people already have like understanding about it, but sometimes we forget that journaling is a way to connect with yourself in a meaningful way. Sorry for the typo, but it's supposed to be with. Yes, a way to connect with yourself in a meaningful way. Because journaling itself is a written record of our thoughts and feelings. So when you actually journal, you reflect to yourself, you think to yourself. So your journal is supposed to document your progress. It's supposed to keep you on track, and also it keeps track of your progress and keeps track of your problems and how you solve it, how you think about it. So it's very, very important in everyone's life progress. So it's a really good tools for you to connect with yourself in a very meaningful way. Okay. So I found this very good quotes from Deepak Chopra. He says that the best use of imagination is creativity. The worst use of imagination is anxiety, because we all have a dream, we can imagine things, but the bigger the imagination gets, usually it gives us anxiety. It makes us more anxious than excited. So, but we have to step back a little bit and see that in every imagination, there's a opportunity to make it as a reality. So, yeah, I think this is a very powerful post. Yay! So after we learn all that, what the meaning of like each words of that, now let's start. So I'm gonna share you 2 different ways of doing this. Like I will share you more in the next slides. But for these workshops, it's kind of a workshop. I will share you the short one and the longer one. But basically what you need is only 3 of this: pen and paper or phone to actually note down or to journal. You can do it like what is comfortable with you, phone or pen and paper, and definitely positive thinking. And the third thing is skill. And I put skill in here. It's not limited to hard skill. It's not necessarily that you have to know how to draw or have a hard skill, but it can also be a soft skill like a communication skill. So, and I put it optional because when I'm just afraid that if I put skill in there, you'll feel like limited. Oh, I have to have a skill to start this, but it's not. So the 2 things, the most important thing that you have is the pen and paper and phone, or just and just positive thinking. Okay. So yeah. So most of us are in these 2 states. First, I have a problem and I don't know how to solve it. Which in this part, you know what the problem is, but you just don't know the source of the problem, right? And you cannot solve it. Just it's usually because you don't know the source of the problem. Because when we want to solve a problem, we should understand first what the real problem is, what the source of the problem is, so that when we solve it right to the point, and then it can be wholly solved. And the second thing is I have an imagination of a better life. So this one holds a bigger purpose, a bigger perspective. I have an imagination of a better life, but you don't know where the problem is yet, and you don't know what to do about it. So this one is more like a dream-driven, like imagination-driven. So you long for a better life. You really are not comfortable with the current state that you have, but you don't know where the problem is. And definitely, if you don't know where the problem is, you don't know what to do about it and where to start with it, right? So yeah, usually for the first one, it's more to like a daily life problem. And definitely we all have like a daily life problem, and also a bigger problem that makes you long for a better life, or like a better state in your life as well. So let's start with the first one first. Okay, how to handle the first one, where you have a problem but you just don't know how to solve it. There are 3 steps. First, reflect. Second, reframe. And the third one is act. So I'm gonna ask Kezia actually, do you have a daily problem that you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. Daily problem, I think, because I'm currently working from home because of the pandemic situation. I have to work from home. I think one of my daily problems is that I have normally go. So I started my daily work from like 9 a.m. and then kind of peak towards the afternoon, so like 1 to 2 p.m. And then when it comes to late afternoon, early evening, so like 3 to 5, my energy is kind of comes down a bit. So I think
really to that.
Yeah, it's a problem because I feel like I still have some more work to do, but I'm losing a little bit of like energy or motivation in that time frame.
Yeah. So that's a very good example, because I think in this situation where we have to stay at home and work from home, I believe so many people can relate to it, and I am like that as well. So yes. So the first thing that I would suggest for you to do, definitely to reflect first, to see what is around the problem. So there are like these 5 words will help you to reflect: what, why, how, who, and where. Right? So what is the problem is the one that I just asked Keisha just now. Just to identify that is a problem is already a step, right? Because when you don't know that is a problem, then you just might feel crappy every day, but you don't know what that is. So to identify it is already a progress. And there are so many whats. So that's not the only what that you can ask yourself. Like, you can ask yourself, what did you do before you felt that, like, every day? Like, did you actually eat too much, or did you actually sleep super late the night before, something like that? And you should ask yourself, is that actually a problem? Why is that a problem? Because some people actually can get can be somehow like more easy with themselves. Like, they can feel like, okay, I have been very productive from 9 to 2. I'll give myself a little break. I can feel a bit lazy, like from 3 to 4, something like that. So you should ask yourself as well, why is that a problem for you, right? Yeah. And then definitely how did that happen? Again, did you eat something too much, or did you just have problems outside work that makes you feel that way? And how can you solve it? And how can you solve it without giving too much pressure to yourself as well? And that can relate to it, and you think that might have that.
Sorry, I think it cuts out a little bit. So yeah, it cuts out a little bit.
Oh no.
Can you start from how? Just the how bit that.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So yeah, when I said how, there's more to like how did that happen? Just like how I said about what did you do around before it, or the night before. Did you actually have a problem outside work that makes you feel lazy more to the afternoon? And definitely how can you solve it, you think? And when you think about how you can solve it, it doesn't have to be one thing. Like, it can be several ways, and you can actually try it, like try out the first scenario, second scenarios, and third scenarios, and on. And who do you can ask about it? This is very important, right? Because we just have to understand that we don't live alone. And when we have problems, no matter how small the problem is or how big the problem is, I believe that by talking with someone and sharing that with someone will really help you to understand yourself even better, to reflect to yourself even better. So ask people that you think can relate to your problems, that you think that have solved the problem as well for themselves, so that you can learn and take whatever you think is relevant for you. And where can you start? So let's say if you think that the problem is you ate too much during the lunchtime, then you should try to think that where you can start to solve it. So maybe you can start eating less portion on the lunchtime, or more in the breakfast and then less in the lunchtime, or the other way around, something like that. So you should think what is doable for you and where can you start to solve it. So that's reflect. And usually reflect doesn't need any action first. Just really step back and think about the problem and what is happening around the problem. Because sometimes we thought that is a problem, but it might not be a problem actually. Sometimes we also can think it's a problem because people around you say that it's a problem, but it might not be a problem for you, to be honest. And yeah, so reflecting is a very important step, I believe. And then the second thing is reframe. there's no description in reframe because it's reframing. It's just like a very it's descriptive already. Like reframing means that this is where you put your positive thinking on, because you thought that is like, especially in the daily life problems, right? You thought that it's a habit already, that you think it's really hard to go out from your habit. But when you reframe about it, you can you think a different way in how to solve it. So when you reframe, you think that there's nothing impossible in this world, and you can solve like any problem that you actually face. So that's reframe, and that is also very important, because if you want to solve a problem, this takes a very important part, because change is not easy for everyone. And to solve problem is actually to change the reality, right? So changing reality takes a positive thinking, because it's not easy. So whenever you feel like you're giving up, your positive thinking will help you to remind yourself that you should remember why you come to this state in the beginning, and it will actually remind you to keep going. So that's where reframe takes part, which is very important. And act. Third one, act is just for you to sometimes, especially for me, right? In solving problems, I always overthink, always overthink. And I know the problem is, I felt like I have put on my positive thinking, but then when I want to do it, I'll be like, no, wait a minute. I haven't thought about this. And sometimes it's the answer to it, just like act. So just do it first. And sometimes it helps, because once you do it, and once you do it, it gets easier and easier. Because once you do it, you are actually starting to reform a new habit, and it gets easier every time. So act. And out of these three, which are very, very important, act is like the one that makes you actually do the solution. So make sure that after you reflect, after you reframe, then you act on it. So yeah, that's the first journey for your like a daily problems. And for the second one, it's a bit longer. So just to remind you guys again, what is the second one? Is you have an imagination of a better life, or you have a dream of a better life, but you don't know where the problem is yet, and you don't know what to do about it. I feel like this is something that is very close to my heart, because when I was little, I think like in my family, we are always encouraged to dream of something, which is very good. I feel like my parents, especially my mom, she's very competitive. She's a career woman, and it makes me want to be like her. Like to imagine for me being someone that is very important, to help so many people and things like that. And but then at the same time, I really didn't know where to start, and I felt like my dreams keeps on changing, like since I was like a kid until now, which is not wrong at all, because we have to explore every idea that comes to our mind. But at the same time, I feel like the idea keeps on changing, and by the end of the day, I couldn't focus on anything because it keeps on changing. Because there's actually I've never reflect to what do I like, I never reflect to myself what do I think that I can do that can help many people. What do I think that I can do that keeps me closer to my dream? I never reflected. So I believe that the second one will help you as well to chase your dreams, your imaginations. It will be relevant with you for in the future as well. So yeah, for the second one, the journey would be reflect. Very similar with the one before. It was just simpler, the one before. Reflect, reframe, research, act, and seek for feedback. So this one serves a bigger purpose. And sometimes we imagine a better life, but we don't know what we can do to get to that better life. So we still have what kind of dream that we want to do, what kind of we don't know what our calling is, and we feel like, when to feel like we everyone needs a purpose in life, right? But then sometimes we just don't know what our purpose is. So maybe this can help us also. This is like a tool for you to find more about yourself as well. So let's dig into it. I wouldn't go as much as detailed as the one before, but yeah. So this is actually a 30-day workshop for you to do in there, and it can be longer or shorter for everyone. It depends on like how big is the dream or how big the problem is, right? So, but I think my hope, hopefully, the goal for this 30 days workshop, is definitely first thing for you to know yourself better. That's the second thing, you know how to serve other people better with your skill or things that you like. And then the third thing, definitely to get you closer to your dream or imagination. So yeah, let's dig into it again. So reflect in this workshop will take 8 days, and just ask yourself these questions and write down the answers every day. So I wouldn't pressure myself too much, because when you actually pressure yourself, it's really hard to get the answer that you actually like, the answer that is originally that should come to your mind. And so I would ask this question, one question per day. First day, what motivates you? What things are you good at? How does that help other people? What experience make you glad, sad, and even mad? And this is very important, because you would know what kind of things that you don't like, what kind of things that makes you happy. And then you will learn day by day that how can something that makes me glad makes other people glad too. So you encourage yourself to use the skill that you have to make other people happy, and it can be useful for other people too. And then how does your past look like? How does your present look like? Do you like your present? Is this the present that you actually imagine yourself, and how you would like your future to look like? And when we talk about future, right? Try not to think very far away, because future doesn't necessarily mean is 5 years from now. It can be just tomorrow or like 2 days after today. So yeah. And what do you think will stop you in getting the future you want? And you definitely can add your own questions. The point in here is reflect first. So step back and really think. And in here, the objective is for you to really, the goal is for you to understand yourself better. You know what you like, what you don't like, and what is the thing that you can use to make yourself better, your life better, and actually can help your society as well. And then the second thing is definitely reframe, put on your positive thinking, know that nothing is impossible. I wouldn't go too ambitious again. In here, I want you to write down 3 scenarios. Why 3 scenarios? Definitely one is not enough, because in life, you can expect something, but then it might not go with your expectation. So always have a backup plan. That would be a safer idea. So that is why you don't go with one scenario, but don't go with 10 scenarios too, because it would make you not focus with why you actually want to do this. So start with something that is doable, yet not too ambitious, so that you can push yourself to just do it. So list down 3 scenarios you think you can get to your future or solution. Yes, and hopefully by this step, you already get 3 ways or 3 solutions that you can think that can help you closer to your dream. Sorry. The third step would be research, and this is actually very important. when I started doing research when I was in university, that was not something that I really liked. But then throughout the years, I learned that that is very important, very very important. Even not only the act of research itself, but the source of the information that you get is very very important. That gives you what kind of quality of research that you will get. So it's very very important part. So from this research step, find out which one of these three scenarios that you have that is most doable. So from research as well, it can be different ways. Like it can be you talking to other people, because sometimes when just by talking to people, you can find out all the ideas yourself by talking to people out loud and share about your dreams or your problems. And you also can read a book, articles, watch movies, listen to a radio or listen to Spotify, or collect magazines, or actually you can do anything. And through research, it is very important in finding out which scenarios that are actually doable, because you will collect or you will find references, which from references you will know if you know that some of like the scenarios that you have created has been done from by other people, that means that is doable. So if they can do it, you can do as well. So that is why research is very important, so that you can find references. And the more you do the research, you even know what you like even better. You will be more knowledgeable. You will know whether this is what you want to do as well. So do research, because it's very important. And I make in here like 7 days of research. I believe it's not enough as well. So definitely you can do more if you like. So we have done reflect, reframe, research, and from three of those, you should have you should know yourself better, and then you would know the three scenarios that you want to do to solve the problems or to get closer to your dreams. And then you have found out which scenarios that you want to do. And then the fourth one now is act on the scenarios. If you want to be a good painter, that would be your imagination, then create. Just create, no matter how crappy the painting looks like, just create. So, and definitely it takes practice, right? So don't worry, there's no mistake in creating. So just create or do or produce and act as well. So it takes 10 days, but it can be definitely more. And the more that you do it, the more you practice, the better you get as well. That's act. And so this one is very important. I would encourage you to actually have a mentor in your life. It can be anyone. Definitely, and can I start now, right? Oh no, it stops again. Okay, yes. So definitely, I encourage everyone to have a mentor in life. Sometimes we have limitations. We cannot find someone that we can look up to, or we are too shy to share with someone that is around us. And definitely you can find a good, like, let's say actor or like activist that you find online, and then just listen from their videos or whatever it is for you to learn from someone. But definitely it's better if your mentor is someone that you can talk two ways, so that that person can know you better, gives you a better suggestions as well. And so seeking for feedback is a very important part as well. And remember, when you seek for feedback, you should be open yourself for growth, because it's not easy to be criticized by someone, and it's not easy to receive critics as well. So, but it's a very important part, because if you don't find feedback, you will just live in your own world and you just don't know how to grow and how to get better. Because if you have successfully created something, right, but then you want to serve a bigger purpose, you want to take that to a different level where you actually can expand it. Or when you create something, let's say a painting, and then you just don't know what to do something about it, you just don't want to create only, or you think that you can sell it, it's already another level. Or you actually want to exhibit it, it's another level as well, right? So if you want to expand your artwork, or not only your artwork, like the act that you did just now, then seek for feedback, because it will help you grow. It will help you to again reflect whether this is enough, or this is good or for society, or is it only for me. And just bit by bit it will help you grow. So yeah, it's something that is ongoing or continuous. So whenever you produce something, or whenever you have done something, just seek for feedback, but seek for feedback from the right person as well. So that's why I believe having a mentor, or having a best friend, or just a friend that you think that can give you an objective response, that is very, very important. So yeah, that's actually all the steps. So just to remind you again, it was reflect, reframe, research, act, and seek for feedback. And yeah, and I want to close this session as well with a quote, another quote that I find very, very interesting. It says, "Don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, or your curiosity. It's your place in the world, it's your life. Go on and do all you can with it, and make it the life you want to live." And May is actually the first Black woman astronaut that ever go to space. So you can already imagine in her era how many limitations that she had. But basically, she actually reached her dream. So if she can do it, I believe everyone can do it as well. And imagination, again, is very important. And this is a very great theme for this week. And if you can imagine, it's already a step. But then it will only be an imagination until you actually act on it. So not only imagine, but then make it relevant to yourself, reflect to it, reframe your positive thinking, reframe your thinking, and then research, and then create, act, and actually seek for feedback. So yeah, hopefully that is useful for everyone. Thank you.
I think for me, thank you, Susan. That is such a powerful session. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our learners today learned a lot as well from you. Thanks for your motivation and the thoughts that you put into this. Yeah, I really, really do hope that it's definitely relevant, and it's definitely gonna impact your life and motivate you to go beyond imagining, but also to act. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. And for all the learners, I hope you guys are safe and healthy and can actually feel happy, even though the situations are not ideal. But yeah, I hope you can actually have a joy from within. So yes. And thank you for KG for facilitating this.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for teaching. I guess for everyone else, we're gonna see you really soon in N.E.S.T sessions on site. We don't know when, but we have hope that we will reunite again and be in the same place and the same session to share stories, to maybe share what you have done with the session, what acts you have pursued to bring your imagination to reality. And we can't wait for that to happen. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.